Man, all these finals and projects are getting tired.
Time to wake up! It's time for Master Sheaffu's talk show!
I'm Talia,
I'm Isaac.
and we're your hosts for this week's episode.
Woo!
Sorry, my bad. So our first topic today is which movement stood out to you the most? The Holy Puritans. Praise Jesus, everybody. The rationalizing rationalists. The romanticizing romantics, shooting the fields every time. Or the keeping it real home doggy dogs, realists.
The realists, because of Mary Rowlandson. She was kidnapped, and then she killed half of the tribe, the Native American tribe that kidnapped her. And there's a statue made of her, praising what she did. And it stood out to me because I don't think it should be a statue. Statues are supposed to be memorable. They're supposed to be something that people should remember that's a good thing. What she did was a terrifying, horrible thing, which I think should not be memorialized, which statues are a symbol of.
But what about, let's just say, and related to the case of everybody here, what about George Washington's statue, and all our presidents? Yeah, they are good people, but they might have not had such a, good past.
I mean, it doesn't really matter it does matter, but what she did, all the presidents, they did, everybody is good and bad. Nobody's perfect. But to be memorialized about one thing, especially something about murder, it shouldn't be memorialized as what they're doing. It shouldn't be put as a statue as it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. This woman killed X amount of Native Americans because she was kidnapped. And it shouldn't be correlated with that. And in this case, as you stated, with the presidents of the United States, they're memorialized as a good thing. They've done good for this country, yet they've also done some bad things. Yeah. But what they've done is for the greater good of America.
And that's Talia's keeping it real.
Okay, so remember the book Great Gatsby and Daisy Miller?
Yes, I do.
The beginning of the year. Okay, so do you remember what you learned from The Great Gatsby and from actually both of the books?
Yeah, from Great Gatsby, that was honestly to me it was my favorite novel. It was had the most impact on me because there was just so much going on, and it was just a fun book to read. Mm-hmm. I learned that no matter what changes in life, you never have to stop giving up your dream. For example, like Gatsby in the book, his dream was to become with Daisy Miller, have a relationship. And wait, that was her name, right?
Mm-hmm. Daisy.
And I said Daisy Miller.
What the heck? Isaac!
Oh wait.
It's okay. Keep going.
So he wanted to be with Daisy Buchanan, and he never gave up. He always tried to have that dream, sort of say, and I think we should all never give up on our dreams. Mm-hmm. And from Daisy Miller, I learned that you really just, actually from both of the books, I realized you can't force love. No matter what, mm-hmm. or no matter how hard you try, you can't force something that's not bound to happen. Daisy Buchanan Gatsby wanted to be with Daisy Buchanan, but failed. But he never, in doing so, he never gave up on that dream. But it was just not meant to be, and you can't force love like that. And in Daisy Miller, you have a woman who is a coquette and just wants to be with every man in her sight, and that's just something you can't do, is force love, and it's just something that just has to take time.
Do you think obsession also has to do with, well, in the Great Gatsby's, in Jay Gatsby's case, do you think obsession had to do a lot with his like wanting to control, wanting to get Daisy Buchanan's love?
I think it did, but when you look at it, when you have such like, he had that one summer with Daisy Buchanan, and that was literally like the best time of his life, and I just think he felt happy in that moment, and it's like, I think we'd all do anything to be happy, no matter what, and it's just what happens, because life throws us curveballs and stuff we don't expect, but we just have to live with it.
Okay. And so the next question is, what do you think, how do you think money and social class affects someone's dream?
To me, it affects someone's dreams because if you look at it, in today's society, we have a higher class and a lower class. And I think, and no matter what, you're gonna have to work for that dream, but I think it just depends on who the person is, because if you're born into a lower class family and you're always constantly working, I think you're gonna work harder and put in the valuable time to exceed that dream. And I think if someone who's in a higher class, who's been given everything they want since the day they were born, is gonna work less for what they want in life. And to me, it affects them because it shows who's willing to do, or who's willing to put in the work for it. Happens, dude. Alright, let me just hold this while you talk. So, oh, and by the way, our video beats everybody else's. Miss Sheaf, I know this one's your favorite. Just because, you know, it's me and Talia. Dynamic duo. Alright, so back to the talk show. What about the dilemmas of conformity and life struggles?
Another intervention. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
What was your question again?
What did you learn about the dilemmas of conformity and life struggle through Blackboard?
I learned that almost everybody. That's my pizza slice.
This one's mine.
Okay, anyways. So I learned that everybody goes through struggles. Nobody's perfect. And through Blackboard.
Sorry,
and when people go through struggles, it's like a stepping stone. Every single time you come up with an obstacle, you have to find a way to go around it or go over it. You can't just full on go through it because it's going to stop you.
Like you in rugby. Just ram through people.
Yes, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. And you have to, if it doesn't work one way, you have to go another. So that's what I think about conformity in life struggles. Black boy.
Sounds good. How do you think one's perspective would be changed through Catcher in the Rye? Like, how do you think it would affect one's perspective on the world?
Throughout Catcher in the Rye, Catcher in the Rye he focused on the negatives, and there were very minimal amount of positive things within the book, which is the only things that he liked, which are people that you like, which are siblings, younger siblings, and Jane. But one's perspective can change depending on how you look at a situation. If you look at a situation like if everything's negative,
like pessimistic.
yeah, basically, and you're not optimistic about things. When you need to be optimistic, you need to be open to new change. You need to be open to just being able to adjust.
God damn, Jesus. Okay, go on.
And people need to be more optimistic instead of looking at things negatively. Because there's a lot of good that happens throughout the world, and especially in our world, especially if we're in high school and we're coming to the end for junior year.
And we have 5 projects we have to do for a final.
And yeah, that's what I think about catching fire.
As we said, destroying our passengers.
Ooh, so sorry. Anyways, so our last
I
topic
grocery
of...
shop a lot, so
Will you
that's
be
why.
quiet? Thank you. For our last topic of our talk show, we're going to conclude...
evening.
Isaac! Anyways, so our last topic is going to be, what did you learn about reading the things they carry?
I'm gonna take a good thought about this one. The book was just so amazing. It's leaving me speechless right now. What did I learn from reading the things they carried? Well, to me, that was The Great Gatsby and that book were my 2 favorite books that we read this whole year, and guaranteed I don't like reading whatsoever. So for me to say that is pretty cool. And I just think what I learned is that people who go through war and have experienced what war is like is such, like, people who do experience war have, like, such bravery because they have to live through all of that and all, like, they have to basically live in hell, if you, like, because there's nothing but killing and death and, like, tragedy when you're in war, because it's one thing to judge someone for what they did back in, for example, Vietnam. It's one thing to judge someone who's a soldier who was in Vietnam than to go experience Vietnam yourself, because guaranteed what they had to do was survive, and that means you're going to do anything to survive. And
you want to return back to your...
Yeah, and that's, you're basically fighting for your family and fighting for your country. And so the biggest thing is just not to judge other people, even no matter if they're a soldier or if they're just a student here in DHS or just anybody, period. Because like you said earlier, nobody's perfect. And we just have to, no matter how bad someone screws up, you just forget about it and know that that's the past. What they did was probably wrong, but that's just what happens. It's life. We're gonna make mistakes. And I think in order to grow as a person, you need to move on from those mistakes. And so learning a lot from the things they carried impacted me as a person, because it's shown me what real tragedy is like. No matter whether this book is non-fiction or fiction, like, the way he told the story made me believe that everything he said was true. no matter what kind of story this is, because that's what an author is supposed to do. He's supposed to make you believe what he's writing about is true. And I think it's just the way he wrote this book, and the things I got from it were just amazing, because he's just an amazing writer. And hopefully one day, if he's still alive, I would like to meet him, and it would just be cool, and thank him for writing such a great piece of literature for someone who doesn't like literature. But, yeah, I just want to say thank you to him, because he's a great author. And I feel for him, because his experiences were just so tragic that he was able to tell us what he went through, and we all as a class, we believed it. Like, yeah, he might have told us that some of it wasn't true, but 90% or literally almost 100% of the book was believable.
Yeah.
Because of how good he was able to tell it. So thank you.
Isaac,
I'm Celia.
this was Mr. Sheaffu's talk show.
Stay tuned for next week's episode.
Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Peace.
Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear.
Take one.
Look out!
Man, all these finals are probably just getting me so tired.
Well, brought to you by Home Depot. Oh boy. Oh, that one missed. Wake up! Well, that's a wrap. See y'all later. I told you were gonna be cold.
It's fine, it's fine. Okay, let's go again. Okay. Take one. Okay.
Andy,
Thank you.
that was mine.
No, it's not.
You can keep that little one on me.
I don't want it. You take that one. Okay.
I have a fun size Snickers.
Anyways.
Can I eat this one?
Sure, go ahead. Wait, no.
Yeah, I know this one. But I don't like Milky Ways.
I don't take that. Okay. Anyways. So, our next topic of the day is
Oh crap.
Isaac!
Sorry, I didn't know we were starting.
Okay. Take two. Okay. Thank you for my snacks. Okay. So our next topic of the day is what did you learn from reading The Great Gatsby and Daisy Miller?
I didn't finish eating.
What the heck?
It was like the worst time. I had just put it in my mouth.
I told you we were recording.
I know, but like I did.
Oh my gosh.